25-22, the final score. The Arizona Cardinals hand the Dallas Cowboys their first loss in over a month at AT&T Stadium in Week 17 of the NFL season. And the Cowboys' hopes and dreams for a first-round bye in the top seed in the NFC playoffs take a huge hit this week as the Cardinals come out on top despite the late efforts from the Cowboys. Welcome into the First Word presented by Dr. Pepper. We're from the Star in Frisco. Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, Barry Church. I'm Kyle Youmans. And gentlemen, where do we start with this? It was a slow start from the Cowboys, fell behind pretty massively, 22-7 at one point in the ball game. I'll start with you, Isaiah. And this is just one of those games where you looked at the Cowboys, you said you got out-coached, you got outplayed. There were a couple different aspects to it.
Yeah, you just never felt like they had control of the game. You know, really from the get-go, you felt like Dak was playing on his heels simply because of the protections up front. They simply out-blitzed. I don't know what they did, but they simply blitzed every single down seemingly. About 70% of the game, it felt like he was under duress. And it just never felt like you really had full control. Even when the defense was able to get pressure on Kyler Murray, he found his way out, utilized his yellow legs, and moved the chains.
You know, I just thought that they would blitz, but not as much as they blitzed. They had to blitz most 70% of the time, and it hurt Dak. I mean, you saw in the first quarter where this guy was up just checking and killing plays. So that started everybody to think, especially the offensive line that for the first time this year have played together. It was a lot of confusion out there.
There was a lot of confusion out there, and what Arizona did was they forced Dak to be sped up. You know, they got after him with that blitz. They forced him to get the ball out of his hands a lot sooner than he wanted to. You know, they had a lot of deep developing routes out there. Kudos to the Arizona Cardinals defense because their secondary definitely clamped up on our trio of wide receivers out there. I think CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper might have combined for only 5 or 6 catches out there. So to me, they did a great job in the secondary, but the drop passes out there, that was to me the biggest and most alarming thing I've seen. CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, even Zeke got in on the drop fest out there. We can't do that if we expect this offense to be productive. They need to get better.
The stat lines aren't going to look horrid for the Cowboys offense overall. I mean, over 300 yards of total offense. Dak Prescott, 24 of 38 passing, 226, 3 touchdowns. But Isaiah, you really didn't feel like there was a rhythm. I mean, rushing the football, Cowboys held to just 45 yards on the ground. So just when you think this offense has all their momentum and all their swagger back, they take a step backwards.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I think we just mentioned in terms of them just never gaining momentum. You never felt like they had control or they were in some kind of sequence where they could just move their way down the field. It was always in response. You know, you heard them say that they never led. Dallas never led this game, and it was obvious. Arizona controlled it. Dallas was always reactive instead of proactive.
3 of 11 on third down. You can't do that. You can't have that against a team as good as what Kyler Murray brings to the game. And all of a sudden, you know, you're looking at your time of possession. I told y'all guys earlier, if we want our defense to be dominant, they have to be under 30 minutes. But I had to play 35 minutes today. We asked for our horses to extend themselves, and it did not happen in a very positive way.
And not only time of possession, but for the first time, and I want to say maybe 5 or 6 weeks, we lost a turnover battle. Yeah. Arizona went out there, got 2 takeaways from us. They presented their offense with short fields, and they were able to take advantage of it. When you lose that turnover battle, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose the game. And
usually at some points in the ball game, at least over the last 6 weeks or so of the season, the defense has made that splash play, has made that game-changing, game-altering special play. That never happened today. It looked like it almost happened on the final drive with what could have been challenged if there was a timeout left. We'll talk about plenty of that on Cowboys OT and Cowboys game night. But with that being said, the defense just never really had the big splash play, but they did what they could.
Yeah, and we talked about that in the pregame show. You know, we know the question was risen in terms of is Trayvon Diggs going to get his 12th interception? And I said no. And the reason being is because this quarterback, Kyler Murray, was not going to give them the opportunity. Now, there was a play that it almost happened, but for the most part, he keeps his team out of bad down the distances simply by utilizing his best asset, and that's his legs.
Yeah, and for me, you know, what surprised me the most was, you know, we weren't able to get a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray. He seemed very cool, calm, and collected back there. Nothing really got under his skin. He was very just efficient out there. And the second part was our pass rush just wasn't there. It just wasn't there. And at the end of the day, you can't have that and be a productive defense.
Is that solely based on the fact of what Kyler can do with his legs? Is it the fact that he can extend the play, get away from that pressure? Because I thought there were times when Randy Gregory, Micah Parsons, they were in Kyler Murray's face, but they just were never able to get home.
Go ahead, Nate. Go ahead.
The thing with that right there is the reason they weren't able to get off on the pass rush, you have to earn the right. And they were 7 for 14, I think, on third downs. And when you can run the ball, we kept saying they've had no big running plays until Kyler took over. But Edmonds just kept pushing it. And you talked about the whole game. They just continue to run. When you continue to run and come up and combine 127 yards, you got to earn the right to rush the pass, and we didn't do it today.
And that was the key point right there. They were offensively kept this defense honest. Those defensive ends, they couldn't pin their ears back and get after the quarterback because there was a threat of a run right there. So to me, Arizona had a great game plan, and it worked out for them.
So we're running out of time here on the first word, but Isaiah, I want to ask you this question. Were the Dallas Cowboys completely outcoached by Cliff Kingsbury and company today?
They were at least partially outcoached.
Don't want to go too far. Yeah. But what were your thought process, especially on the timeout being used and burned early in the half because of the chess match back and forth and how that really affected them not being able to challenge the fumble?
Well, it just shows you how the intellect of Cliff Kingsbury. You know, I mean, he did a great job, obviously, of really taking that timeout away. That was pure strategy. That was not by chance. That was pretty much, hey, you either line up and you play defense the way you need to against what we're going to present, or you have to burn the timeout. And that's exactly what they did. That's just a great job of game planning and positioning himself to be in this situation at the end of the game to win a ball game.
Nate?
I agree 100%, man. When we look at this kid, Coach Kingsbury, I call him a kid. I'm 60, I call him a kid. You look at this guy, and he has had a bad second half dating back to Texas Tech. He's trying to change that by doing a few things, by listening to his veteran coaches and doing a few things different.
Yeah, I agree with all you guys. I mean, to me, they were simply outcoached by Cliff Kingsbury today. Their team made the plays that they needed to get the W, and that's exactly what happened.
It really looked like one team was desperate to get back into the win column as the Arizona Cardinals came in with 3 straight losses, and another team that took a little bit to get going. The Cowboys found the rhythm in the second half, but by that point, it was too little, too late. As we take a look at some of the final stats from the loss to the Arizona Cardinals, Arizona knocking on the door of 400 total yards. A lot of the production from the Cowboys offense, not on third down, but late in the game overall, and they come up short 25-22. We have plenty more post-game reaction live from out at AT&T Stadium coming up on DallasCowboys.com. Be sure to tune in to Cowboys OT and Cowboys Game Night later tonight. For Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton, I'm Kyle Youmans. Thanks for joining us for the first word presented by Dr. Pepper.